What's up, everybody? As you guys saw in the title, we are going to be building the ultimate LEGO themed tier list. If you guys enjoy the video, please drop a like down below. Be much appreciated. But without further ado, let's jump into the tier list. All right, we got 45 themes right here that we are going to be inputting into this tier list. This was a pre-made tier list actually. I was going to make my own, but this was already here. I will leave a link down in the description if you guys want to do this tier list and send it to me on my Discord. My Discord link is down below. You guys should go and join it. Some of these, I'll be completely honest with you, I've never heard of, probably because they're ancient and well before I was born, or they're completely useless, like Hero Factory here. But we also got some bangers in here, so let's just go through it and start putting it in because let's be honest, guys. My opinion is the best opinion. So starting with Bionicle, I have some mixed feelings about Bionicle. You already know. I don't understand how toxic the fans can be. They're always defending it till their deaths. It's unbelievable. Like, the theme was good at a certain point in time. It brought LEGO out of close to bankruptcy. It's had its time, and it's really now it's time for it to just stop. People keep trying to bring it back. It's never gonna come back. Just let's let it rest. Please. So Bionicle as a theme, I never was really into it, but I recognize how influential it was and important it was within the LEGO community, so I'm going to give it a B tier. I think that's pretty fair. Next up, we got Brickheads. I am not a huge fan of Brickheads. I think it's completely useless. I built a couple, and it's nothing really special. It's better than other themes. It's kind of in that weird gray area where older kids really don't want to build it because it's super childish, but kids can't build it because they might keel over because how small the pieces are. So I think D is a pretty fair rating. Next up, we got Alpha Team. I have never heard of this theme, so that's what this beautiful little tier right here is. What is that? So we're putting that in there. Never heard of it. Same with the next one. Exo Force, never heard of it. I'm sure some old heads are gonna come after me like, how could you never have heard of Exo Force? Just be quiet about it, all right? Never heard of the themes. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying I've never heard of it. Next up, we got Castle. I think Castle has had quite the rocky road. They have had some really, really great themes and sub-themes. So I think there's definitely a lot of history with Castle and a lot of charm, but it definitely doesn't deserve S tier. So I think A tier is pretty good rating for Castle. Next up, we got Shima. Basically, LEGO decided, let's make furries a theme. It's kind of like this Ninjago knockoff, and I'm sure the Ninjago kids are going to come after me like, oh, what do you mean? What do you mean? But it's definitely, it kind of has that same feel because in Ninjago they have all the snake warriors and stuff like that, and this time it's like the wolves. I remember my friend got a Chima set and I built it, went over to his house and I built it once, and it was the worst thing I've ever put together. It was so terrible and so cheap. So that one's going in dog water. Now LEGO City is obviously a super classic theme. I'm pretty sure every person who's ever played with LEGO or had LEGO or collected LEGO has at least gotten a city set and built it at some point in their career. It's obviously a pretty universal theme, but I don't think that there's universal love for it. I will say that. It's definitely a hit or miss theme. You can get some really, really great sets, but you can also get some really, really bad ones. So I think C tier is a good place to put it. In that same vein, we've got Classic. There's really not much to say about this. They just give you a bunch of bricks, which is nice for a relatively okay price. So Classic's also going to go in C. Creator 3-in-1 is a theme that I've had mixed feelings about. It was never something that really interested me. I definitely see that it has good value and the builds are all right, but it's really nothing special. So I think this is also going to be C tier. The value definitely pulls it up from D otherwise. Next up, we've just got Normal Creator, and I really like Creator. It's something that, you know, I would like to buy every once in a while to just not be building constant gray ships 24/7. So I think Creator is pretty good just for a nice little breather. So I'm going to put that at B tier. Next up, we've got Classic Space. This is the most loved theme out of everything, and for good reason, but it's been driven into the ground. There's this huge bucket of old space stuff that my dad used to play with at my grandmother's house, and I always loved going there and building with it, and the minifigures are so cool. They have some great pieces, and those lunar base plates, oh man, those lunar base plates there, they got me feeling some type of way. So this one's definitely going to be an A tier without a doubt, right next to Castle. Classic theme, some great iconic moments in it and sets as well. Next up, we've got Elves, and Friends. And next up, we got Galaxy Squad. I wasn't super into it. I was more into Space Police, if I'm being brutally honest with you guys. But there's definitely that same parallel. So I still think it's a pretty good theme. It definitely has its charm, but it isn't something that I would buy regularly. Maybe if there was one good set a wave, if we're lucky. So I think I'm going to throw this one at D tier. Next up, we got Harry Potter. Obviously, this has a massive audience around it, and for good reason. It's a really, really great theme, and obviously great movies. I wasn't super into it. I'm not heavily invested in the movies. I think the sets were great. I loved them as a kid. I actually was super into Harry Potter, and I had like Hogwarts from, I think, early 2000s. That was my pride and joy. I loved that set. So Harry Potter, that's a definite A tier. Next up, we got Lego Ideas, and this is definitely a hit or miss theme, but there have been some really, really great moments in ideas. Obviously, it's fan vote, but then, of course, in the end of the day, it's more up to Lego, and they make some very bad decisions sometimes when it comes to picking sets. But there are some really, really great moments like the Saturn V, the Medieval Blacksmith, Barracuda Bay, just to name a few. And there's some more low-key sets as well that you can kind of pick up and you'll always see on shelves. Designs and techniques are always really high quality because instead of having a designer who needs to pump out 50 sets to fill their quota, you've got one person who's working on one set, putting all their time into it to create the perfect set so it can get voted. So I think this is a definite B tier. Obviously, some really great moments, but bad moments come along with that as well. Next up, we got Jurassic World, and the biggest problem I have with Jurassic World is that there's no Jurassic Park. Jurassic World was an okay movie, but I'm not super into it. I'd love to see more Jurassic Park stuff. I know they've done some, but it's obviously Jurassic World themed, so it's not super based around that. There are some good moments and stuff like that, but nothing I'm really into, and the builds sometimes look really dinky and all that kind of stuff. So I'll probably put this one at D tier. Next up, we got Lord of the Rings, another huge fan favorite. People love this. I was into the Lord of the Rings stuff as well as a kid. Problem is it was super short-lived, which is definitely very sad, but there were some great sets in there. I'm going to include Hobbit in that as well. Lord of the Rings, that's an A tier without a doubt. You know what? S tier. It's such a perfect theme. What a great theme. I love Lord of the Rings. I just wish it would come back, and the Hobbit, of course. Except we got Mars Mission. I've never heard of this until A&A Hobbies stream a couple days ago where he showed me some stuff. It was pretty cool, but it wasn't something that I would get a lot of. There are definitely some interesting builds, which are always nice to experience. So I'm definitely going to put this one at a solid D tier. Not going to be dog water, but it's not going to be higher than D tier. Next up, we got Minecraft. It was an interesting idea. I think they've done it okay. The sets do a great job of trying to convey that blocky nature of Minecraft, and I think they do a pretty good job at it, but again, it's nothing I would see myself buying a lot of sets of, so I'm going to put this one at C tier. Next up, we've got the collectible minifigures. I was never into it. Dog water. Mixels, dog water. Monster Hunters, it was okay. I remember some of the sets were pretty good. I had like a ghost train, and that was pretty cool. So I'm going to put that one at D tier. It was all right. Really nothing special. Nexo Knights, I never was into it. I thought it was just another weird, half-baked, let's make castle futuristic type of thing, and I was not into it. I have this type of thing is like, why make something classic more modern? It's not something I'm a big fan of. So that one's going in dog water. Not a huge fan. Ninjago. I was into Ninjago. Never really watched the show that much, but I was into Ninjago sets for sure. They have some phenomenal minifigures and some great builds. That Ninjago City Garden set is a beaut, and the golden figures that they've been doing recently are hot. Ninjago, absolutely classic. That one's going at A tier. I don't buy much of it, but I can recognize when there's a really good theme out there. All right, next up we got Overwatch. I was never really into the game. The minifigures are pretty cool. I don't really think that video games really translate well into Lego, so I'm going to throw this one at D tier. Not a huge fan. Pharaoh's Quest, oh man. So let me just preface this by saying Adventurers is one of the best themes Lego has ever made. So Pharaoh's Quest was kind of just like a half-baked version of that. I would probably have put Adventurers at S tier, so we're going to throw Pharaoh's Quest at B tier. Alien Conquest was an interesting time. I remember getting a couple of those sets and thought the flying saucers were pretty cool, but I wasn't super into like, oh my gosh, I need the whole wave. You know, it was a good moment. There were some great sets in there. The minifigures were pretty cool, so I think C tier is a fair placement for Alien Conquest. Atlantis is an absolutely classic set. That among like Space Police and Power Miners were like the themes that really built my childhood. So that one's going at B tier. We got like the second Bionicle thing. I have absolutely no idea what this is, but it looks so bad. But I'm gonna say I don't know what that is because I thought that's what Bionicle is. Whatever, man. Space Police. Oh my gosh, I love Space Police. That guy who was like pimped out in purple and had his purple spaceship was so fire. And the Space Police headquarters was like my holy grail as a kid. That's an A tier theme. The figs are so cool. Story is awesome. And yeah, if you haven't checked it out, what are you doing? Next up, we got Indiana Jones. And I mean, need I say more? Just such great sets, and the video game was super fire. Indiana Jones, one of the best themes ever, hands down. Indiana Jones, top-notch theme, legendary. It's in the Hall of Fame for Lego. Power Miners, and man, oh man, special place in my heart. They have the tiny rock monsters. They've got those big boys that throw that chuck the rocks at the miners. I mean, it's so cool. And the miners, they look so badass. Great theme. I would love to put it at S tier, but I know people would start, you know, foaming at the mouth and stuff like that. So A tier for me. Power Miners, phenomenal theme. Next up, we got Hero Factory, and that's where that goes. Toy Story, it was never super into it. It was kind of like you're building toys as toys. I thought the Green Army Guy battle pack thing that they made was a pretty cool set, so I'll throw that at C tier. Wasn't a huge fan. Didn't really get many of the sets. Next up, I mean, this one deserves, it just deserves a tier of its own. It is legendary. The Pirates theme never missed. I mean, look at Barracuda Bay now, and look at Black Seas Barracuda. You look at every wave of Pirates, it never missed. Pirates, legendary theme in Lego. Above it, I don't care what Castle or Space fans say. Pirates is way better. You get to build ships, forts, docks, trading posts, hideouts, islands. I mean, there's limitless possibilities when it comes to Pirates. The story was great. There were named characters in it. It was so fire. Pirates is just regarded as the best. You know what? It's going first. Like, there we go. It is regarded as the best Lego theme, in my opinion. There is nothing that can top Pirates. Speed Champions is a pretty young theme, but, you know, they've been doing really well. I bought one Speed Champions set, and then I ended up buying, like, the entire wave. What's great about this theme is that most of the sets are, like, 15, 20 bucks. There are some, like, big packs and stuff like that, but other than that, you're getting, like, really great value. I would put it at A, but I think B tier is good for right now since it's a pretty young theme. Next up, we've got Star Wars. You know, you're pulling in fans of Star Wars. Star Wars fans are nerds. They would love to build a model of their favorite ship from Star Wars. And so if Lego provides that, they pretty much have the right to print money at that point. Star Wars is a definite S tier without a doubt. I won't put it over Pirates though, because for some reason, the designers kind of just don't pay attention at all to the prequels and Clone Wars, even though it's some of the best Star Wars content. So I think S tier, not as great as Pirates, but still a legendary theme. Next up, we got superheroes, DC Comics. Never was really into it. I can see the appeal, but DC superheroes, they have some cool moments like the UCS Batmobile and UCS Batwing. Those are pretty cool, but other than that, not really a fan. I think B tier is pretty fair. With Marvel, I've heard that there are some really great figs, but the builds aren't as great as other themes, so I think that's also going to be a B tier for both these superhero themes. Not a huge fan of superheroes, so you can lock me up for that one. But Galador, I've never heard of. Neither have I heard of Ultra Agents. That is absolutely bizarre. Turtles was just dog water. I have no idea why they even made that. Lego Movie, I mean, it was funny when it came out, but there's absolutely zero longevity to this theme, so I'll put it in D tier. And the last one, it's Technic. I was never a really big fan of Technic. I think it really hurts your fingers, but they make some pretty cool car models, I will admit, so I think C tier is the best way to go from there. So there's my final tier list. I think this is a really fair list. All right, you guys can come at me in the comments. This, again, I've never heard of these themes. I don't know why there's a second Bionicle. I don't know if that's the second wave, but I just don't want to be wrong and get crucified in the comments section. Again, I will put the link to this tier list in the description down below so you can do it and send it to me. Tell me why I'm wrong in the comments down below, but again, I think this is a pretty fair tier list if you ask me. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I do appreciate it. If you enjoyed it, please drop a sub down below. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you guys so much. I hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you all later. Bye.